your team. Yeah, we coming for your team. We need some.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition, and my guest for this week's show is none other than junior wrestler on the women's wrestling squad, Hiba Salem. Hiba, thanks so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. This year got off to a great start for you. You were selected to participate in the NWCA All-Star Classic at Princeton, all the way on the other side of the country. How did you learn of the selection, and what was that experience like?
So my Coach Barang, sent me a text message while I was in my night class. And he was like, check your email. And I was like, okay. So I checked my email. And it was like this kind of like forwarded message of the invitation that got sent to Martinez.
Okay.
And then he was like, I just said yes to this for you. And I was like, what is this? I had no idea. I was like, okay. And then I Googled it. And then I like saw what a huge event it was. And I was like, okay, I guess. Let's do it. Yeah. But I was very nervous. But I was very excited for the experience. And that's honestly what it was. It was a really awesome experience.
Yeah. So what was it like going all the way across the country and having to face off against some of the best wrestlers in the entire country in one setting? I know you kind of get experience like that at nationals, but to have it be a completely foreign setting, I'm sure was a little bit different.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was very different. But it was very exciting, and just the whole experience was very different and very everybody else was trying to figure it out just as much as we were. So I went with my teammate Solon, and the whole way we were like, wow, this is an experience. Even like the things that may have been kind of like when we got off the airport and we were trying to find Princeton, or we were trying to find our place to go weigh in and do all that stuff, we actually got lost. So the GPS didn't even know where we were.
Didn't know Princeton?
Yeah. No, not at all. We didn't know how to get there. And just the whole time, me and her would look at each other and we'd be like, it's okay, it's an experience. And it was just awesome being in like a gymnasium filled with the best wrestlers ever. Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
I'm glad you mentioned Solon, because I wanted to ask, how comforting was it to go with a teammate? Solon was a later add to the All-Star Classic. At first it was just you. How comforting was that?
It was very comforting. As soon as she told me she was going to be part of it, I was like, oh my God, yes. I jumped up and I was like, yes, thank God. Like, it was awesome. I got to bond with her and bond with my coach, and it was it was just a very homing experience.
That's cool. Now, as someone who's been an All-American, what is the most difficult part of trying to follow it up with All-American status the next year, or trying to one-up yourself from the year before?
The most difficult part, I think, is that every year there's somebody else ready to take you down. There's somebody else that's either behind you or in front of you that's just ready to take you out of the equation. And you can't rest. You could be at the top for only so long until somebody else is you walk around with the target on your back. And knowing that going into every tournament, and knowing that going into into nationals is it's very important, because you got to continuously work hard. You got to continuously remind yourself that nothing is guaranteed, and nothing's given. So just having to constantly work harder every single year to try and kind of outdo yourself. Basically.
Now, you're a native of South San Francisco, so you didn't have to really go too far to find Menlo College. Aside from wrestling, obviously, because that's why you're here, what keeps you in the Bay Area?
My family and In-N-Out. No,
and In-N-Out. You got your priorities in order.
Yes, yeah. Of course, absolutely. So I'm a commuter here at Menlo, so I get to stay with my family. And
that's nice.
Yeah, so I get my own bed, my own bathroom.
Nice.
Home-cooked meals. It's just nice to stay here. I love California. And we travel around to all these other states and stuff, and no place is like California.
You're
no
right.
Place.
You're right. Because no place has In-N-Out.
No, exactly. That's what it is. That's what it's all about.
Very few places have In-N-Out. Let's be clear. It's not just California, but it's basically a California thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We got to thank California for most things.
Exactly. Now let's talk a little bit about the team. Now, the women's wrestling program at Menlo College is now up to 4th best in the nation. That is the highest ranking for the program in its history. What has been instrumental to get you ladies to that point this year?
I really, really got to give this to Coach Barang. His recruiting tactics have upped so much. He's no longer recruiting just people who are good. He's also recruiting people who have personalities that will blend well together. Mm-hmm. And the team this year, I can honestly tell you, is more of a family than any other year I've been here. we're always ready to push each other, and he's recruited some really great assets to the team that are constantly ready to just improve and constantly determined to reach the goals of the team as a unit, not just their own personal goals. And I think that's why we've gotten to where we are today.
You bring up the team feeling like a family. How big of a role does chemistry play in a sport like wrestling? Because sure, it's a team sport, but they're individual matches, so it's individualistic while also being team filled. So how does chemistry play in?
So honestly, chemistry is a huge like part of just being part of. Okay, wrestling itself is very difficult just to begin with. Yeah. So if we didn't have the chemistry dynamic, then the difference between pinning somebody and taking them down or teching them, so I'd essentially be okay with teching somebody. But if I know that my team needs a pin in order to get higher points or in order to place higher as a team in an overall tournament, then that's what we're going to push for. So our overall chemistry for each other, we're constantly trying to improve our own like individual stats in order to help benefit the team. And that wouldn't be as great as it is if we all didn't really have like that homey feeling, like family chemistry.
Yeah. Now I've heard for weeks that you ladies kind of felt like you were sold a little bit short to begin the year. You opened up ranked 10th in the nation. You've been steadily climbing ever since. How have you used that as fuel to get to where you are now?
You know something? We could be dead tired during our practices. We can be just flat out, with people like falling apart on the ground, and all we got to say is, we're 4th in the nation? Or we're 10th in the nation?
Yeah.
We have so much more to prove to these people who think so little of us. And we have like this running joke where we go, you know what, that's disrespectful. And that's just all you hear. And as soon as you hear that, it's like, okay, let's get back up there, let's do this. And it's just super motivational.
Now, last week, you guys had the blue and white duels here at home. It was a chance for the home crowd to see you guys in action, really for one of the first times this year. With the blue and white duels, it's an inter-squad. Is it ever weird to compete against your own teammates?
Yes. Yes.
How weird is it?
It's extremely weird. I personally very much dislike it, just because you're competing with the same people during practice, but it's so much different when you add a spotlight and add, announcers and add a referee.
Graphics on the scoreboard.
Yes, and it just makes it such a bigger deal. And I feel like personally, I get more nervous to wrestle my teammates than I do to wrestle other. It's so strange to me, and it's like I don't want to beat them, but at the same time I don't want to lose to them. It's just like, I know at the end of the day that it's just us, benefiting from each other, but it's just so weird. And
certainly you don't want to do something that maybe bends someone's arm in a weird way, and then they're out for a couple of weeks, or you never know, so you don't really want to take that chance.
No, not at all.
But I'm sure it is nice to wrestle in front of the home fans.
Yes, that is very awesome.
Now, you go up to Rockland this week for the West Coast Tournament of Champions. I'm sure it's nice to compete in a tournament where you don't really have to go too far, like all the way to New Jersey, am I right?
Yes, actually, yeah. I personally like that we travel, but it does get really tiring to constantly be in an airplane every single weekend, going and sometimes competing the same day, and you're jet lagged and the time change and just all kinds of things. And a lot more family gets to come, and it's like the start of our actual winter break, so it's really nice to just have a really home tournament just to end the season.
End the year.
End
the 2017 year as you go into 2018.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. All right, Hiba, let's get into the final segment of the show. It's called Brownie Bites. I'm going to ask you 3 random off-the-wall questions. You give me your best answers.
Okay.
Question number 1. Which wrestler would handle fame the worst?
I want to clarify that.
Okay.
Is it the worst as in they would just go off the radar and just get corrupt with power, or would they just not want to?
No, it would probably be corrupt with power.
Okay, well, I would definitely think it would be Salome. She would handle fame the worst.
I think you're right with that. She kind of has some Menlo fame to her already.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to know her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, Salome, you're corrupt with power in any way, shape, or form, but I can see that being something that might happen.
Yeah. No, she she's certainly up there in fame already. Like,
Yeah.
she's already glammed out. She has like these really cool studded sunglasses. She walks around like the entire world is like, just look at me.
Yeah,
And
she's a social butterfly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what she is. Question number 2. Which wrestler is most likely to break Christmas ornaments while hanging them on the tree?
Shay would definitely break some Christmas ornaments, I feel like. And it's not that like she's a klutz, but I feel like she'd drop it. She'd be like, I'm so sorry. And then she'd cry maybe a little bit.
So what you're saying is she's not a klutz, but you're saying she's a klutz.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. And then question number 3. Which wrestler is most likely to enjoy the strangest holiday feast this year?
Iman would definitely enjoy it. She's like such a weird eater. We'd be sitting in the caf and she'll mix cottage cheese with like sriracha and jelly and peanut butter and just all kinds of things, and she'll put that on a spoon and eat it, and it's just like, why are you doing that? And it's just, she loves it. She loves the weird mixture of flavors, and I feel like she'd really appreciate just a really strange holiday feast.
Okay, yeah, she's not going to go for the traditional Christmas ham,
No.
mashed potatoes. No, she's just going
Not
to
at
go
all.
like a, I don't know, like a smorgasbord of stuff. Like she's just going to throw everything on
Yeah.
one plate, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
and that's appealing to her. She just loves it.
No, thank you. My food has got to be in separate parts of the plate. Don't want it to touch each other.
As normal people
As
should.
normal people like it. Thank you. I'm glad someone understands. Well, Hiba, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, folks. It is a busy week for the wrestling programs here at Menlo College. Both teams are in action. The women's team is going up to Rockland to participate in the West Coast Tournament of Champions up at Rockland, hosted by William Jessup. That will be on Friday, December 15th. The men's wrestling team is also in action. They will be taking on Embry-Riddle in Arizona for a duel Friday night, December 15th. That one at 7 o'clock p.m. They will then wrap around and take part in a duel over in Las Vegas next week. They will be taking on California Baptist and Grandview University, the second and first ranked programs in the nation, a big test for the men's wrestling program, which is ranked number 4, as well as the women's program. We invite you to tune in to the next episode of Unrooted Wrestling Edition when Hiba will select the next interviewee by me, Brian Brownfield, but that's going to be in 2018. So until then, we hope you enjoy your holiday season and have a very happy start to your new year.
I got a really big team, looking for really big rings. They need some really nice things. Yeah, we coming for your team. Yeah, we coming for your team. We need some really